Okay, we're going to sign into the training server again for play. And our site we're using is 1234 training site here. We can see there we've got a discharge and stage, and here's our rating curve in here. So we're going to open that up with our stage and look at that. Yes. So here's our training file we're going to work on. We'll get rid of those older measurements. So we're going to work on this. It's actually the grey at Dobson. It's a real site. And this is the current gaugings on the latest rating, which we've removed. So we're going to look at putting a rating onto these gauging measurements here. So, you can rename this, or I'm just calling it training, but you could clone it if you wanted to into some test or dummy file that you can just play around with, or just play around with this, and then you could rename it 22, 23, 24 if you wanted to, once you're happy with it. So as well as having this, as you saw, I brought in the stage so we can actually zoom up and see. If you want to look at the measurements on the hydrograph, so you can just zoom in on this too. Just helps you to look at the range of stage we need to cover, low to high, where the peaks are, so over 4.5 meters here. So we can refer back to that. We've got both the rating zooms, that's the arithmetic, and then the log, which we're going to work in to start with anyway. So we've got our measurements here, and we're going to start with building a rating. So we can either look at one way of doing it is to look at the actual measurements here and look at the stage and discharge. So we've got a stage here of 0.073 and a discharge of 101. We could add this in here as the actual points, the stage, discharge, and then here, or it's easy just to go and click add rating points here. So let's just add one down amongst these gaugings here, and then one up at the top end here. So you can see it puts a straight line between, builds an equation here, gives you our points from the lower and the upper point, and also then gives us a shift diagram here. And we can rescale this at any time by hitting the rescale button. So we want to obviously refine this. So let's start by assuming we don't know what our offset is. Offset being the stage for zero flow, point of zero flow. So if we don't know, we can go in here and just guess it and just play around with it to see how we can get this line to fit, the curve to fit our measurements. So we're going to play around with an offset, and to show the offset on the graph we need to also check here plotting offset control, so it actually starts showing it on our graph. And then we can start by just moving up and down with our offsets. So if we try and go up, of course, it's not going to like it because it says the value has to be lower. So let's start by moving down. So that therefore what we're saying is our offset or point of zero flow is going to be way down and a negative value below our stage or measurements, our gauging measurements. So as I start decreasing this here, you can see how the line starts coming together. And at any time you can resize, you have to keep resizing it, and same with the shift diagram here. So here's our zero, each side of our zero. Let's keep going down. So you can see the measurements starting to come in line a little bit better. So let's go down to say -1, rescale this, so around our zero. So we're all on one side, you see on the shift diagram. So we're still not quite there. So let's just play around with going down a bit more. So it's staying well out to the right here of our zero. So there's a problem. Let's go back to 1 again, that we haven't got our points aligned properly here. So it's a combination of playing around with the offset value and moving these points. So let's just zoom in, for instance, on this end point here, and let's then move that rating point so it's more in line with between our gaugings here, and then just do the same at the top end. So keep zooming in and then shift this point so it's right through our gaugings. That starts looking a bit better, and you can see if we rescale our shift diagram, we're getting now each side of our zero. So let's just try increasing this one a bit more. So now here's our 0, we're 0.04 to 0.6. Let's go up to about, whoops, wrong way. Just go 0.2, rescale that. So we're about 0.05, 0.06, about the same spread now each way. So it's looking a lot much better. Let's just, again, narrow in on the end here to see. So this is fairly good. Maybe we want to shift this down slightly. Favour those two. And back up to the top end. See if it's shift. It's not too bad. Moved. Maybe just get this right through that point. So, and there's our shift changing now. So it's, let's try maybe going back up one there. 0.8. So maybe there at 0.13. So we've got a 0.06, about the same spread. Yeah. And it's looking pretty good here. So, and we look at any, of course, any time by clicking on it. So we can see this is 7% off. It's probably about our worst one. We've got here, we've got minus 6.7 and 7. So a fairly good spread each side. Of course, we're not covering the full range at the moment, so we want to extend the rating. So we use this this one here, extend rating line. As soon as we click this, it puts another third point in, and when we get the wee hand, we can move this. All I can do, I can't move it up and down, it can only move long ways. So we want to go higher than our highest stage we've recorded, and if you see up here, you'll see this changing as I move that point. So the stage, so we want to get to 4 meters and over 3,000. There we are, 4 meters and over 3,000 cubics. So we're above our highest ever flood peak. So that's extended that building on that equation below. So it's using the same. Let me just enlarge this. You'll see it's using the same exponent in here and same slopes, and there's the offset. And of course at the bottom end we want to extend that as well. This tool here doesn't extend the rating downwards, but of course we do know what the point of zero flow is, so we can add that value in above this line here. So we want to add a value above. So we want to go for a stage which is this offset here, which we're saying is where the flow ceases. So minus 1.3 in here. And the discharge is going to be very low, but we can't go 0 because it's in log at 0 doesn't happen. You can't go to 0, but we can get close to it. So we've put this in here, and if we just rescale the plot, you'll see it's gone up on a strange angle. Okay, so we really need to increase this to keep the straight line by increasing the stage here. So let's just try 0.2 there. It's a little bit better. So maybe, and looking at here, so we're trying to get an exponent of 49, so we're at 36. So maybe go to 25, 44, maybe 26, 47, 49, getting close. 265 maybe. Okay, so fairly close at 48, and the slope's looking more reasonable too. You can see we're getting a straight line here, so we're covering our lowest flow through to our highest flow. And then the offset looks pretty good. So that's therefore, it's given us an initial cut at building a rating based on those measurements. And if we look at our rating zoom 2, we can see it in arithmetic and how they're plotting there. This looks reasonable. And then if we go to our field visits, of course, we can select those ones. At the moment, they're only showing, they're all selected since the last rating, and this is where we're assuming the rating changes happened. They're not showing as larger dots yet because we have no rating date. If you look at our rating period, still has no, it's still working training, but no start date, end date at the moment. That's why they're not showing. So first cut doesn't look too bad. Our rating looks reasonable, and yeah, our shift looks pretty good. So it's one way to start.